Hey gang, thanks for being here tonight. I'm sorry I can't be with you. I am super glad you're together. It's important, critically important, to make sure that as leaders we're on the same page. We're reminded of our values. We're connected and excited about the future, and I believe the future is bright. God's going to do some things over the next couple months that you and we have been preparing for quite some time. And I really can't wait to turn the corner here and get into it. So thanks for being together. I asked you to send me a few questions, and many of you did. I'm really happy about that. I wanted to provide some input into some things that you've been thinking about. So let me click through these. I'll tell you right up front, they kind of categorized into three or four spaces: adult education, missional living, multi-site strategy, new believers, and what about this large space? Let me start by saying this will be superficial answers, to be sure, just because of time, but I'd like to engage you in conversation and press you to be talking more with Pastor Justin and others, because these are critical thoughts and good questions and spot on. With regard to adult education, primarily thoughts about Sunday school, adult Sunday school, and midweek Bible study or services. The simple answer is that's really just a different model. We tilt in the direction of the small group model, where we see what has happened traditionally in those other spaces, building of community and deeper understanding of the Bible. And hopefully our model presses more towards some application, because there's no question that in today's world, you and I know magnitudes more about the Bible than our parents did back in the day, and our grandparents did. Bible knowledge is not really the problem anymore. It is what it's always been, which is application. That being said, there is a space and always good reason for in-depth Bible study. We certainly encourage it on an individual level, but I know a number of you would enjoy doing it together. I don't think that's out of the question. I don't know exactly when it would happen. Could happen on Sunday morning, could happen on Wednesday night. But I think if you've got it on your heart, we need to be in conversation about how to take that particular calling in your life and create some spaces, if not test spaces, for how the church would respond to that. Make sure we're hitting a critical need, and I think it's an idea worth considering. Secondly, multi-site. Multi-site will always be a part of our strategic objective. We pressed into Hilliard and had to pull back. We've had thoughts about Marysville, and that hasn't gotten off the ground. We have a population center in Powell, and we wonder what to do with that. Here's the bottom line. Why we do multi-site is because it drives the kinds of discipleship and multiplication that's healthy. In order to do multi-site, you have to be something and do something well in order to get there. And we like what it forces us to do. What we've realized is that we're not doing it as well as we need to get there. So we want to keep doing that better. We've also realized that you need a critical mass to successfully launch a site in suburban America. And so we are focused now on reaching another level of critical mass, which could require 3 or 4 services in the 2 locations that we're at. And we think by the time that rolls around, critical mass and our own capacities and capabilities will be such that we could do it in a healthy and successful way again. Where will it be and when will it be? I think it's too early to tell. I would love to be in all of those communities, but I don't know, and we don't know where it is. What we need to do is do well what we do well, keep trying to do better at what we want to do well at now. What about new believers? Great question. What are the resources for that? How do we help someone move from the very embryonic stage of becoming a Christian and move them down a path of discipleship? Well, number one, we hope that everything we do as a church, everything you can think of at Vista, we hope is a discipleship tool and something that produces good disciples. Serving and giving and life group and working in the community and mission trips, all of it. It's all discipleship. But I know that question comes to a more specific thing. And I think when it comes to the actual resources and the actual study guides and the actual knowledge base building that is oftentimes required, we don't have a good solution for that. And I think it's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. We need to work on that. Lastly, what are we going to do with this large space? Well, hopefully we're going to fill it up. And I've asked Pastor Justin to think about specifically and in a detailed fashion with others, what and how can we reach this community? I'm pointing around here because I'm sitting in the Worthington parking lot in my mobile studio / office. We need to think that through and make sure that we've got a good plan for how we can reach this community uniquely. And I even think the arrival of Pastor Rich and Sanctuary Church, who are temporarily meeting in our annex, they do that very, very well. And Justin's been in conversation with him and even taken some action on that front. I think we're making progress, but push into that because it's a great space and it's an exciting space, and I'd like you to be a part of it if you have that question or that kind of a calling. I missed this one. Are our life groups intended to be missional? Yes, in fact, they are. That is actually one of the reasons we have pressed for groups to meet only twice a month. It's not to have a break every other week. It is to create space for that group to think missionally and work together to make a local impact in some way, shape, or form. The other open week, since we're on the subject, is for you, leaders, and any leader, to be a part of the leadership development and training and equipping spaces that pop up here and there in our calendar. We want you to be available for things like missional stuff and leadership equipping. And we know if we make demands too high for how often you meet as a group, we start to eliminate possibilities. So that's part of the reason we have that balance. So I hope that answers some of your questions. I hope it creates other questions, and I hope you send me your comments and questions. Let me know how I did on these answers, and let me know what else I can talk to you about. These are great discussions. Have a great night.